All right, and welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Thursday, July 7th, 2022. If you like the content, give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe to the channel, etc. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Another winner today, by the way, 11% on Micron. So we traded this a few weeks ago, took a fractional gain, dumped it before earnings, and trading it again, picking it up on the sell-off last Friday on earnings. Just a 3.5 day hold for us, 11% there. So if you want to get in on that, come find me there on Carnivore Trades. Anyways, here, so let's get back into the spiders. So nice day, nice up day for the SPY here, up 1.5%. Triple Qs here up 2.14. Big Tech was the leader today. Russell up 2.3, and the Diamond here up 1.14. So a nice little float up for the market on pretty light volume. You see here spiders trading 64.5 million shares today, which is some of the lightest volume we've really had all year long. And we talked about this over the last week or so. So the closer we get to the holiday, the more we get into that holiday, the more likely it is we're going to have kind of summer volume, which does bode well for the upside. It does bode well for a summer rally. We talked about a possible pivot low being put in the market this week, and that looks to have happened. Now, the market's not out of the woods. We still got to get above this pivot here and make a higher high. If we make a higher high, I think that you can really kind of essentially say that we're in kind of counter trend mode, rally mode here. Now we do have a downsloping trend line right here to keep an eye on, as well as on the triple Qs here. We're basically into that one right now. It's a little bit less steep of a trend line, but we're into that right now, as well as that 50 moving average, and you're essentially into this pivot as well. So a little bit of resistance here in the short term. We'll see how the market reacts. Now we do have the jobs number tomorrow, and you kind of get the sense that maybe the market was front running the jobs number a little bit. Obviously the light volume market kind of waiting on the jobs number, but based on the action, it's like the market is kind of expecting a bad number, and that would be a good thing for the market. Is essentially what you'd be doing is basically pricing in rate cuts sooner rather than later. So if we get a bad job market, we get a bad jobs number, that's the market's probably going to like that. And if we were to gap above this 50 moving average tomorrow, we could really start to squeeze. So just be aware of that. And the same thing goes for the SPY. Now it's a ways away. I don't think we could really get above the 50 on the SPY right now, but at least above this pivot, it's possible. So we'll see what we get tomorrow. I mean, the market does look like it's starting to see the cracks in the job market right now. And now it's starting to think, we talked about this a week or two ago, but bonds have rallied a little bit. They came off the highs the last 2 days, but, bonds are starting to sniff that out as well. So we'll just keep an eye on it again, take it one day at a time here, but nice little float up for the market today. And, some much needed relief. We'll see if this higher low can hold. And if we can make a higher high, then you've got a higher low and a higher high in place for the first time since really back here in March. So that would be significant to me. And again, I've been telling you guys every day, based on the cycle work I've done, this should have been a low this week, and there remains to be seen if it holds, but so far so good here. So we're gonna keep taking it one day at a time. Anyways, here, let's flip over to some sectors. So semiconductors, we talked about Micron, nice power move on Micron today, again up 2.58%. Semis here up 4.6, so nice move here for AMD, 5.5 or 5.25 rather. Nvidia up nicely as well, up just under 5%. So nice move there for the semis. Again, still a soft, sector. Look how close to the lows they are. Really still below that 20 period moving average. And then you compare it to other tech names, triple Qs here. Got above the 20 moving average yesterday and then confirmed above it today. So semis still lagging a little bit here, but they did come off the lows. They held that yellow trend line and that bigger trend line that we've been following here. Not that one. Here we go. This is the one we're talking about on the monthly, going back to 2015 there. So again, nice little bit off of that. So we'll see if it can continue. This area should get defended. It's a pretty major trend line. Again, going back about 7 years now. So we'll see if that does get defended here, and if the semis can get going. So let's take a look here at cloud. All right, bear with me. There we go. All right, so IGV here. So again, kind of a similar trend line setup here as the triple Qs, down sloping trend line here, lower highs, and then we had that double bottom. We talked about this W pattern, and now you're starting to put in kind of a V shape, and you're into this trend line. Now maybe it has to pull back and consolidate a little bit. This will be resistance right here, this little pivot. We are above the 50-day moving average though, and obviously the trend line should be resistance as well, but you put in a higher low here, and it's it's shaping up well. We've been talking about how cloud has been one of the stronger sectors lately, and that remains to be the trend right now. So cloud holding up well, and we'll see what it does here tomorrow. XBI, biotech, what a tremendous move off the lows here. Beautiful W bottom, little inside bar pattern, and then a pop yesterday, a pause, and then another pop today, making higher highs the whole way up, and now above the 100-day moving average. Now it is worth noting this is into some resistance here, these pivots right there. This is the area that you couldn't break through for a while, couldn't break through it, and now you broke down. So that is kind of getting back tested. So right around this $84, $85 level, do expect a little bit of a pullback on XBI at the very least. And again, like we just said with IGV, kind of coinciding with that trend line, kind of coinciding with the trend line here on the triple Qs. You even make a case it coincides with the 20-day moving average there on the SMH. So some of these tech sectors, nice pops off the lows. They were overdue for a rally, but now coming into a little bit of resistance here, and may need to do some backing and filling here in the meantime. Dow Transports here, again, remains a weak sector. Did get above the 20 moving average today, so a little bit of a sign of strength. And then you're going to come into resistance right here at this pivot, which coincides with this downsloping trend line. But again, a nice little move off the lows here. It's trying to play out. It's trying to play an inside bar pattern out, but Dow Transports are just under so much pressure right now. But up 2% today, so we'll give it the benefit of the doubt for now. If the market remains buoyant, then transports will likely remain buoyant as well. Interest rates here, TNX, 10-year Treasury yield still inverted above the 10, and I believe the 5 as well. So inversions there, got back up to this 50-day moving average. We'll see if it can make a lower high. I do expect that to happen here in the near term. And, eventually, again, I keep telling you guys about 2.4, 2.5. That's kind of the target here on the downside for the 10-year and the 30-year as well. We'll see if it can make a lower high as well. You're going to have some resistance up here as you come and back test this kind of 3.85 area, 3.75, somewhere in that zone. But, again, yields kind of getting a bounce here. They did sell off a little bit and went into basically a technical support level. Again, you see that gap right there. Got close to getting filled, not quite, but it still offered a little bit of support here in the short term. HYG here had a nice day as well. So a little bit of a kind of an almost double bottom kind of pattern there on HYG, and got a nice pop. If it can make a higher high, that would definitely be a pretty good positive for the market in general. XHB, home builders here, did finish positive, up 1.44%, but still kind of an inside day for the most part. So we'll see if this needs to flag a little bit. I do think it does, but if it can flag, I could see it pop up to 62 on the XHB, maybe 59, maybe $60 on the ITB. But again, kind of a nice little move off the lows, and now it's trying to hold kind of an inside bar type pattern. So we'll see what kind of a move this can make here. But again, I do not like the home builders moving forward. In the short term, I think they can get a nice little bid here, as long as the market does remain buoyant. And then VNQ, still struggling with this level. I told you guys it was going to be resistance here, that white line right there, trend line, gap, and then you have the gap on the other side. But it is making kind of a potential setup for an ABC. So you got the big down move here, and then the big panic flush. And then you went up, and now you're kind of just going sideways here. So this could get a move here, and if this does bid up, I could see it getting as high as possibly 98. So there is a little bit of upside here in VNQ. It's really just kind of doing some consolidation right now. I don't really see anything terrible, but so far it did not participate as much as some of the other sectors in the rally. Anyways, XLF financials. So again, getting above that 20 moving average, but still kind of a weaker, this is weaker, kind of like the transports. Looks like a lot more like the transports chart than it does tech. And again, those yield curve inversions are hurting the banks. So XLF under pressure. Broker dealers holding up a little bit better here, but still on the weaker side. So kind of an inside day to yesterday, but it was up a little bit. So again, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt for now, but just a weak, weak technical chart, any way you really slice it. All right, so energy here. Crude got a nice bounce, so nice little snapback rally again. We would have loved it if it pierced that 95 area. Didn't quite get there. But a nice bounce today nonetheless, and now futures are basically just flat right now. But a nice little move there for crude. Basically went from 95 all the way up to 105, so really over a 10% move in basically 24 hours. And that's just what happens when you have this type of volatility here. But crude did get a little bit of bounce. XLE, same thing here, up just under 4%. XOP and OIH also up as well. OIH up 5. Now, I think all these energy stocks are going lower here in the near term, but or I should say in the medium term, but in the near term they can get a bid here. OIH is very extended, probably wants to go up and back check that 200 moving average, which should coincide with that 20 moving average, which is down sloping. Same thing with the XOP, 20 moving average up here, and the 100 above it, and basically the same setup on the XLE as well. But overall, probably get a little bit of a relief bounce, but I think there are levels on these energy plays, but they are lower. Got to be patient with it, and don't jump the gun here. Nat gas also a really nice bid as well. Got some inventory data today. Market liked that, and this is what happens when you get this oversold. But nat gas is a volatile asset, as you can see. So big move up and then big move down, and then you kind of negated, not completely negated, this inside bar pattern here, but you've made it a lot less likely to play out. You had a 1, 2, 3, you're starting to put in kind of a bear flag, then got a nice reversal today, got back above 6, stalled out at 650, which is that was the area here that we broke through a week ago. So now getting back checked there. I still think this maybe has a little bit of upside. It's probably going to want to go test that 20 moving average, but there will be resistance up here with that 100 and this pivot and all this selling right here. So there's going to be a lot of resistance around 675 or so, we'll call it. We'll see if we can get up there tomorrow, but nice little pop there for nat gas today. Very oversold in the short term. Dollar index, really just an inside day here. Futures are basically down just 0.25%. Nothing really major to report here. It is holding up really well though, and we'll just kind of leave it at that. You guys know my thoughts on the dollar there. Gold here, bit of a muted bounce. So the dollar did pause, gold kind of paused here. Same thing with silver. Nothing really too new to update there. They got kind of a dead cat bounce today. You can see silver there put in a nice little tail yesterday, or I should say the day before. I said that they would defend that 19 handle, and they did. But you prefer to see a little bit more of a pop here than really. I mean, what was it? It was basically flat today. This is the new candle for tomorrow, but basically flat to yesterday. So you really want to see more of a snapback rally than what we got today. Now platinum, on the other hand, definitely did. So a nice move off the lows for platinum, got back above 860. I think near term this wants to get back up to 900 and back test this breakdown. So I've been showing you guys this for a while. In fact, let's use the weekly here. So this trend line right here, I think we're probably going to, at least back check to it in the short term. And, platinum just very oversold here, but it did hit a good level that I had calculated out. I've been waiting for quite a while here. So platinum getting a nice bounce off the lows. Palladium also getting a nice bid too. But again, really kind of a range bound metal, all things considered, when you look at the volatility in some of the other metals that we've had. But a nice pop there nonetheless for palladium. And then copper also getting some follow through. So we talked about that big tail candle yesterday and how it was likely going to mark a short-term low. Also, look how extended here you got from all these moving averages in such a short period of time. Just incredible move here on copper. Was about 460, like a month ago, and went all the way down to 330 the other day. So pretty remarkable drop here. Definitely due for a bounce. Got some follow through there. In short term, I do think this, can back check up to that 370 area. But I think the really good buy level is a lot lower still. But in any case, nice little pop there for copper today. And then Bitcoin here, lastly. So Bitcoin getting above the 20 moving average yesterday, got a nice pop. We talked about that. Tried to, basically put in a little micro kind of inside bar pattern, got a bid and then some follow through, and it's actually getting some follow through tonight. So nice little pop there for Bitcoin. Let's see, it's trading at, see actual print here, over 22,000 here for the first time since June 16th. So nice little move there for Bitcoin. It is now above this little pivot high. This one's going to be the major one here, so at 22,991. So we'll call it 23,000. You get back above that, and then, you know, I give it the upside bias to 25,000, 25.5. So Bitcoin finally participating, and this is a good sign for equities too. So finally some risk coming back in the market. I know we talked about, you know, the biotech stocks. We talked about the you know, the growth names, the Carvanas of the world and stuff like that, that we're finally getting a bid over the last couple of days. This kind of goes hand in hand with that. You know, Bitcoin is kind of like the leveraged NASDAQ right now. It's kind of like a leveraged growth play. And to see some money flow come into the sector now after all that bad news that we've been having, it is a little bit of an encouraging sign here. And it does support the theory that, you know, we probably put in some type of a pivot here for a summer low. Now we still need to confirm it. We could rip this right back down on the jobs number tomorrow. There's nothing to say we can't. But until you make that higher high, I think, you know, this trend line is important. But I think really, to me, the higher high here and confirming above that higher high on the spiders is kind of the bigger level right now, because that would really mark your first higher high since back here with a higher low. We had a lower low here. And then you can call, I mean, I don't really, it's hard for me to call this a higher high because it was kind of like a one-day outlier. Whereas with here, you really kind of went up off of that down move, and then you made a higher low afterward. This one, you came down and you made a lower low immediately. So it's really hard for me to call this move right here a higher high. But in this scenario, if we could get above this pivot, it would be a higher high with a higher low, to me anyways. So anyways, gonna wrap it up here. We'll keep an eye on that jobs report tomorrow. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com, and I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow.